Hey guys, Station X here. The last time I talked about 8BitDo stuff was the SN30 Pro and the SF30 Pro. These are really nice third-party controllers for the Nintendo Switch. Almost said Super Nintendo. These are nice third-party controllers for the Nintendo Switch that were really, they hit the nostalgic point just because this is just modeled after a Super Nintendo controller. But the practicality of it is it pretty much has all the buttons that you would need on a Pro controller, with that really nice D-pad right there, considering Nintendo Switch is the only Nintendo system that doesn't have a really nice D-pad that serves all purposes for both their Joy-Cons and Pro controllers. If you want to play like really nice, you want to play 2D games like with the best D-pad possible, it's this. Otherwise, this is also just a very nice controller, considering the fact it's got the thumbsticks to do the 3D stuff. Now, some people find this controller for 3D games a little uncomfortable just because of how low this is right here, and then your hands are just kind of like, you know, the word I'm looking for is uncomfortable, you know? I find that my bottom fingers, because they don't have anything to grip on, like how modern controllers have like a grip, it tends to cramp up. So you kind of have to hold it like this, like cradling it, and it just kind of leaves a little awkward positioning. You know, everything's just too cramped. But luckily, they've made an improvement to the Pro, and they made the Pro 2, and that is what we have here today. Of course, I've gotten the Game Boy Color scheme just because of the fact that, you know, I got the Super Nintendo and the Super Famicom one, so I might as well just complete the trifecta and get a Game Boy one. So the same deal applies here. It works for Switch, Windows, Android, Mac OS, Steam, and then some other random stuff like Raspberry Pi and whatever. But yeah, it's even got the name as G Classic, so Game Boy Classic, assuming they didn't name it that for, like, you know, legal reasons. But I mean, without further ado, let's just get this open. It's got a tight grip, unlike the other one. This just slide. The other ones just slide off. Let's get this box off. Yeah, so the box is a lot bigger. It's a lot more elegant. Now these grips, I gotta say, look really nice. So let's get this off. And look at that. That is pretty nice. So you got two back buttons here. That's pretty good. And a rechargeable battery. That's even better. I assume you could put batteries in this if you needed to do so. There's a switch over here, which I'm not sure what that does, and I'll probably find out in a second. You got, I'm assuming, you got reprogrammable back buttons. Got really nice trigger buttons. Wow, that's really nice compared to these, where these are mainly these are more similar to the switches, or they're just buttons. These, I believe, are analog, which doesn't really work for the Switch all too well, which is what the main console I use these for. But man, that D-pad looks really nice. It's nice and shiny. I love that. And the fact that it's the Game Boy design just makes it all so much better. And there's also like the profile button, I'm assuming. And then the other star of the show right here, if I can get this film off. There we go. So now that we got that, we got the buttons here, which look immaculate. I mean, that the only really defining features of the Game Boy is the color of it, the D-pad, and the buttons, and it's got that to a T right here. And the thumbsticks feel very much the same. You still got the same buttons right here with the home and the capture buttons, and this just feels beefier in the hands. It's heavier compared to this. I mean, of course, it's just got this nice these nice grips right here, and there's just more going on with it, but still retaining that still nice classic shape with that nice D-pad right here. So what I want to do now is I'm gonna set it up on the Switch and see how it does on a 3D game, because that was like the biggest problem with something like this and like this, is that these, when you play 3D games, did not work very well. In fact, one of the games I always go to test stuff out is Smash Brothers. I think it's a really great way to figure out if a controller is good or not. I mean, this is the one I was trying to use for it for a long time, and I think it was really funny. The fact that I was doing so horrible is, you know, it's like the GameCube is the best controller for that game, and so using this, I thought, wow, would that be funny? Because the first Smash Brothers was on the N64, and since we are getting that N64 controller for the online like they did for the Super Nintendo and NES, that's going to be another future video of me testing that out for Smash Brothers. But that's the go-to test game. I tried it on this, and it's like pretty bad. It's not as bad as, say, playing it with Joy-Cons, but it's pretty bad. But I really want to see how it works with this, and I'll try some other games too, just to see if it'll, you know, do well, I guess. But without further ado, let's get right into that. So here we are. I decided to actually test out a different game than Smash Brothers. It was kind of acting up, but I put in 3D All-Stars on here. We're doing 64. But yeah, like, one thing I do gotta say about this is that the pairing up process is so much better compared to the original one. The original one, when you started this up, you had to wake the controller up by pressing the start, then you had to hit the pair button, and then you had to hit a combination, which for the Switch it was start and Y. And I mean, and this is only regarding the Switch. I don't know how much easier it is on the computer or Mac or whatever, the Windows and Mac, but for the Switch, it would take forever to get connected and whatever, and it was just an annoying process. It was just not as easy as just comparing it to the Pro controller, where you just plugged it in and then there you go. But whereas this, all I had to do was wake the controller up by pressing the start, hit the power button, and within 2 seconds, it got on. That's at least for me. I don't know if anybody else had a problem with it just taking forever to connect to the thing. And something I also wanted to point out that I forgot to mention was that it does come with a charging cable, so you don't have to worry about getting one. I know not all third-party controllers come with charging cables at times. Usually it's the cheapo ones that don't, but 8BitDo always comes with the charging cable, no matter the controller, as far as I'm aware. So that's pretty nice. And so, I mean, I gotta say, the buttons do feel really nice. They're not like the concave and convex thing going on like the Super Nintendo one. It's more so similar to the Super Famicom one, where they're all like that really nice flat glossy buttons. So that I really liked. And again, it matches the Game Boy color, so I think that was really cool that they did that. And I mean, the sticks do feel exactly the same as these ones. So they're more like the PlayStation style sticks, like PS4. I don't know why they went with that kind of stick, but I mean, hey, it feels comfortable, so I'm not really complaining too much. And then just the D-pad is the same, just got that Game Boy style D-pad. And so here we're gonna test it out. I'm not gonna do too much craziness. I'm just gonna be running around here, and I mean, it just automatically just feels better. Your hands are not cramping up because of the fact that there's no thing to grip on here. And there's other features that this thing does as well. I know there's like a whole app that you can download for this controller. But really, I'm just testing it out for like the common usage of it, because for me, I'm not really into the extra bits of the controller. I'm more concerned with like having a cheaper alternative to the Pro controller. How is it more comfortable? Should I buy this over this sort of thing? Because I know these types of controllers anybody would buy, just because these things are very nostalgia heavy. You know, specifically with this color. I know they have like ones that are just the generic branded ones. Like they have other colors besides the Game Boy version of this. But I mean, the ones that I bought and the ones I feel like many people will buy is these types, like the ones that are based off of things from their childhood and stuff like that. You know, Game Boy is very famous, so this thing I thought was the best one out of all of them, the best looking one. especially because of that. I just can't get over how nice the D-pad is. Very nice and shiny, which I love that. And so, I mean, as far as practicality and use, I actually would love to use this one more so than the other one. The triggers feel really nice. Now, unfortunately, because I'm using it on the Switch, it doesn't really matter if the triggers are analog or not. Like, they could have kept it this and would have been fine, but I mean, they're a lot bigger, and they're a lot, you know, they don't feel uncomfortable when you're pushing it down. This was like way too close. So, and then this was just this little sliver right here, so what you almost didn't hit this at times. But these are far apart, and this is nice and big and beefy, and same thing with this. Almost kind of like the PlayStation 4 triggers, but again, it's got its own design to it. It's not directly copying it. So I mean, that's really nice. Now you can also set up these two back these back buttons. I don't tend to do that very often, but for those of you that like doing that sort of thing, having certain actions mapped to a button like that, that's pretty cool. I know a lot of third-party controllers do that sort of thing. So I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it for the controller. Let me know what you guys think of it, and have a good day.